When you think of New Year's resolutions, which of these words is the first to come to mind? Success or failure? I don't know about you, but for me, the word is failure. And unfortunately, it's true. Every single year, so many people vow to make this huge change in their lives, but many of them fail as early as February. Let's say you're one of the 30 to 50% of people who make New Year's resolutions, and you decide, you know what, it's finally time, this is my year, I'm gonna start losing weight. So you start doing all the right stuff. You get on top of your nutrition, eating all the good stuff. You're getting 10,000 steps per day. You're even going to the gym 4 days out of the week. Good for you. Week 1, you're feeling great, feeling unstoppable. You lose 3 pounds. Good for you. We reach week 2, still feeling great, lots of motivation, and you lose 2 pounds. So now we've lost a total of 5 pounds in 2 weeks. You're feeling great, same as before, lots of motivation. But then we reach week 3, and guess what? No change. You're feeling frustrated, tired, hungry, motivation's at an all-time low. And then one day, you're on your way home from work, and what do you smell? McDonald's. So before you know it, you're rolling through the drive-thru, you buy 2 McChickens, a medium fry, and a Coke, and you get home, eat it, and feel defeated. Does that sound familiar? So your story may not be the exact same as this, but you can probably relate to it. So the reason why this person failed is because they were relying on a very overrated word, and that word is motivation. Motivation feels great at first, but it doesn't last for that long. And then when it does wear out, motivation fades and old habits take over. So if motivation isn't the answer, then what is? Well, it's habits. A statistic I found very interesting, I'm sure you will too, is that 40 to 50% of everything we do every day is out of habit. Yeah, I thought that was pretty insane. And that's why James Clear in Atomic Habits calls habits the key to change. He defines an atomic habit as a small action that's part of a larger system, a tiny step that compounds over time. So what James Clear says is if you get even 1% better every single day, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but 1% better every single day over a full year, by the end of the year, you'll be 37% better than when you started. So I know it doesn't sound like a big change, but it's the small ones over time that have a huge impact. So let's use an example. Imagine we have an ice cube in a room that's at 26 degrees, but we make a very small change. We bump it up to 27 degrees. There's gonna be no change, right? But then we bump it up again, 28, 29, and eventually we get to 32, and then, as you probably guess, the ice cube begins to melt. That's how true change is. At first, it's not noticeable, but over the long term, it can make a big impact. Focus on the system, not on the goals. The goal is what you want, but the system is how you act to get to the goal. It's essentially your identity. So if you want to become a healthy person or a person that's skinny, anything like that, focus on what a skinny, healthy person would do, the system and the identity, and then you'll get the outcome. Habits aren't just about what you do, but it's about who you believe you are. So there's a difference between one person saying, no thanks, I'm trying to quit smoking, and then another person saying, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. The first person is focusing on the outcome, but the second person is focusing on their identity and belief. When you start truly believing you're someone who's healthy, your actions naturally align. Each healthy choice you make is a vote for that kind of identity, for the person that's healthy. So if you want to identify as someone who's healthy, make sure a majority of your votes, of the actions you make, are for that healthy person. Because it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 2 votes that are for the unhealthy person, because the majority wins. Okay, so how do habits form in the first place? Well, all habits follow the 4 same simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. You feel stressed? That's the cue. You want relief from the stress? That's the craving. You eat junk food, that's the response, and then you feel relaxed, that's the reward. So if we cure a craving in any way, shape, or form, our brain remembers that. And that's how we form habits, good and bad. So if we want to build good habits, make the cue obvious. If we want to break bad habits, try to make the cue as invisible as possible. But essentially, what we can do is take each one of these steps and kind of play around with them. And that's how we build good habits and break bad habits. So thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate it. To wrap this whole thing up, just to give a summary, the first thing to remember is focus on the small changes, even if they're 1% changes, because over time, they have a huge, significant impact. The second thing is don't focus on the outcome, focus on the identity. Focus on the type of person you want to be, someone who's healthy, someone who's skinny, and then ask yourself, what would that type of person do? How can I become that type of person through my actions? And then the last thing I want to say, and this is huge, is your habits become your identity and your identity becomes your future. So if you want a picture of how you're going to be in the future, look at your habits now. They're a projection of who you'll become. So in the next video, we'll break down the first step of the habit loop, the cue, and I'll teach you some very, very helpful methods, such as how you can design your environment for success. Once again, thank you so much for watching the whole video, following along. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like this and you want to become, you want to be involved in a community of people who genuinely care, who care about being healthy, being the best version of themselves, make sure to subscribe. All right, I hope to see you in the next video and take care.